This is the cabinet that you nominate to not to run the U.S. government to do anything, but to destroy the U.S. government, so that the U.S. government can be fundamentally reimagined as something much more like a unitary, authoritarian, or autocratic, for lack of a better term, system.
Yes, Rachel Maddow, Rhodes Scholar that she is, explaining to us that if you pick Republicans to serve on a Republican president's cabinet, then it's probably authoritarianism and the end of democracy. You know, the usual. And then they burned a police car, looted a drugstore, shot a bunch of people, you know, the Democrats, and waved a bunch of Venezuelan gang members into your daughter's shower room at school because the Democrat Party is, well, they're transgender, aren't they? Is the whole Democrat Party transgender now? I think so. News media very, very upset. They're very upset about everything. Oh, no, Trump might deport illegal aliens that are here illegally as aliens. So many of them are gang members and human traffickers and drug smugglers, and the Democrats want more of that. More of that. Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. He must be stopped. I'm surprised they're not rioting yet. But in the meantime, in Pennsylvania, they're looking to steal the Senate seat there because they keep counting illegal votes in Pennsylvania. The Democrats are counting illegal votes. I know because the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said that it would be illegal to count these votes that are not signed, that are not dated, that could have come from any dumpster where Hunter Biden threw his gun and his crack and all that stuff. But never mind that. The automatic Pennsylvania recount is underway. Automatic recount for PA U.S. Senate race. The people at WGAL are reporting the story. Why is a recount being done? Any statewide race in Pennsylvania decided by 0.5% or less is automatically recounted. See, it's automatically recounted. But the thing is, the Democrats have already been told by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that they cannot count these ballots over here in this pile. And the Democrats said, well, screw that. We don't care what the law says or what the Supreme Court says. And then they set stuff on fire. And they started, I don't know, where did all these unsigned, undated ballots come from? Because shouldn't you have to have signature verification when there are controversies? And the Democrats, because they're crooks, I think is the short version of this. But the Democrat incumbent senator, honestly, Bob Casey, he has fewer votes than the Republican candidate, Dave McCormick. Therefore, Dave McCormick has won by tens of thousands of votes. But long after the election was over, the Democrats kept showing up with unsigned, undated ballots. And they said, let's count these, let's count these. And now we go to a recount. So the Democrats will throw all of these illegal ballots into the pile for the recount. And then when they come out, they'll be 8 votes ahead. And that's when they know that they're done counting, you see, because like their boy, the mass murdering Joseph Stalin, the communist leader of the USSR, said, it's not who votes that counts, it's who counts the votes. And the Democrats are looking to steal the Senate seat away from Dave McCormick, who won the Senate seat, and it was decided that he had won the Senate seat many, many days ago by all of the entities from the Associated Press on forward that decide who wins elections in this country. But the left is here. They're not liberals. They're the left. And they're going to count and count and count until they're 1 vote ahead, and then they'll stop counting and say, yay, we won. We knew we'd win. But they'll violate the edict of the Supreme Court, the ruling of the Supreme Court in the state of Pennsylvania, not the U.S. Supreme Court, but maybe the U.S. Supreme Court should get involved. Then the Democrats could riot over that when they find that the U.S. Supreme Court agrees with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that what the Democrats are doing is illegal. And they'll just count and count and count until the counting is done. And the counting is done when they've got more votes than the Republican candidate, right? Amazing stuff. And how can it be so close? How is it that all these races are 0.2%? Well, it wasn't before the Democrats started showing up with ballots. Right? Now we've got all kinds of ballots. Amazing. So they want to steal that one. In the meantime, they're attacking former Democrat Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii. It's not like she's some famous right-winger or something, but the Democrat Party's gone so crazy that Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat Congresswoman from Hawaii, announced a while back, months ago now, that she's leaving the Democrat Party. Well, that she was leaving the Democrat Party and becoming an independent. Since then, she's announced that she's become a Republican. Isn't that amazing? So now you know what they're doing to her. The headline, and it's all over the world. The headline from The Guardian. A Russian asset. This is the headline in quotation marks. Democrats slam Trump's pick of Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. Other nominees, Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, Peter Hegseth for Secretary of Defense, were also condemned because it's war with the left. The left is constantly in a state of war against us. They're not on our side. And you win the election against all odds because of a corrupt, filthy news media. And, we got some of that today, too. And on. But the Guardian, not even American. Democratic lawmakers are slamming Donald Trump's nominee for Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, saying their former House colleague is a vocal supporter of Russia, who poses a threat to U.S. national intelligence. Yeah, everything is a threat to our intelligence because morons are running the show. Jason Crow, a House Democrat, who I assume is the grandson of Jim Crow, of Jim Crow fame, because you know how Democrats love Jim Crow laws. Jason Crow, a House Democrat from Colorado and a member of the House Intelligence Committee, ironically known as the House Intelligence Committee, told NBC Fake News that he has deep questions about where her loyalties lie. Really? So you're a communist. You're Jason Crow. You're a Chinese secret agent, a communist. Well, just go ahead and say it, because this is how this works. You just say it, and then it doesn't matter if it's true or not. A lie told once remains a lie. A lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth, as the Democrat Party's leader, Joseph Goebbels, used to say. Isn't that amazing? So who do we have? We've got Democrat members of the House of Representatives. We've got news media people. We've got Hillary Clinton. We've got just amazing stuff. So they're attacking her. We got a lot of intelligence from our allies, and there I would be worried about a chilling effect, said Jason Crow, the House Democrat, to NBC News. But he's not saying anything. That doesn't mean anything. We do get a lot of intelligence from allies, and there would be a chilling effect. What? Because you guys are spreading the smear that she's somehow a Russian asset. Is that what's going on here? Debbie Was-A-Man Schnitz. Debbie Was-A-Man Schnitz, who tattooed her face, and that was a big mistake, I think, long ago in El Segundo, California in 1979. Big mistake, tattooing her face. She was the chair of the Democratic National Committee, right? And she's still in the House of Representatives, amazingly. And she was on MSDNC smearing anybody. It just go from Pete Hegseth to Matt, go to, honestly, go to Matt Gaetz, go to Peter Hegseth, go to any Trump pick. And this is what they do because they're filth, all right? So here's Debbie Was-A-Man Schnitz on MSDNC talking about, again, a Democrat member, a longtime Democrat member of the House of Representatives who is a surfer, come on, which is cool, and a U.S. Army soldier. I believe she's a lieutenant colonel, and she served in combat zones, and she's a decorated U.S. Army veteran and a Democrat member of the House of Representatives, now former. She's left the party, so this is what the left does to you.
Tulsi Gabbard is someone who has met with war criminals, violated the Department of State's guidance, and secretly, clandestinely went to Syria and met with Assad, who gassed and attacked his own people with chemical weapons. She's considered to be essentially, by most assessments, a Russian asset, and would be the most.
Is that how you
dangerous...
consider her? Is that what you consider her?
Oh, yes. There's no question. I consider her someone who is likely a Russian asset.
Debbie Was-A-Man Schnitz, who is a communist baby killer, traitor to her nation, and should probably be facing capital punishment for treasonous conduct. I have no reason to believe any of that's true, but this is what these people do all day long. They come out and they say things like that, just outrageous, insane things, and then they coordinate with their other filthy, corrupt miscreants to say the same thing over and over again about a person who is obviously not a Russian asset. What kind of lunacy is that? You people are mentally stinking ill. And Debbie Was-A-Man Schnitz should be dragged away in a straitjacket by people in white coats with a net because she's mentally disturbed. She's insane. But where did she get this madness? Well, it's all over the media, and you've got this Jim Crow over here, Congressman Jim Crow. It's Jason Crow, but he's the grandson of Jim Crow. And here he is in The Guardian talking about Tulsi Gabbard being a Russian asset. Isn't it amazing? The Hill, left-wing rag in Washington, D.C., Wasserman Schultz says Gabbard, quote, likely a Russian asset. Yeah, she deleted the likely, but you put the likely in there. So she's calling Tulsi Gabbard, and they don't, even say in the news media that she is a former Democrat member of the House of Representatives. They don't say that she is a decorated combat veteran and U.S. Army officer. They leave all that out because every newspaper from the Hill to the Washington Post. Now, you may remember Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton, who we've reminded you of this before. She was out there years ago now saying that Debbie Was-A-Man Schnitz was a Russian asset. I apologize. That Tulsi Gabbard was also a Russian asset.
I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary. She's a favorite of the Russians. Yeah, she's a Russian asset. I mean, totally.
And Hakeem Jeffries, who was mentored by his radical left-wing extremist college professor, Uncle Leonard Jeffries, who is a vicious anti-Semite. And Hakeem, I don't think he likes the Jews much either. But isn't that amazing? And Hakeem Jeffries, he was asked, hey, what about Tulsi Gabbard? Now that she's been picked by Donald Trump and she's not just a Democrat member of the House or a former House member, is she a communist secret agent, a treasonous traitor who should face the death penalty?
Leader Jeffries, do you agree that she's a Russian asset?
Here's what I have to say about several of the nominations
Answer
that have
the
been
question.
Made by the incoming president.
Leader Jeffries, you're not willing to say she's a Russian asset?
No, that's not how I would characterize her at this particular juncture.
Not at this particular juncture. That's not how I would characterize. Are you a communist dog-eating terrorist because you're communist anti-Semite Uncle Leonard Jeffries, the college professor that was your guiding light while you were growing up? He's certainly a fascist. How about you? But this is the political discourse in the United States of America. And they point at conservative talk radio and say, oh, your rhetoric is so incendiary. You already got Donald Trump shot across the side of the head once with a second gunman showing up at his golf course shortly after that. You got the Iranians and a Pakistani man in New York on a path to assassinate President Trump. You're accusing people of being traitors. You're accusing them of being felons. And you're doing it out here in the light of day. It's a felon to be a member of Congress, a Russian asset, a U.S. Army officer, a Russian asset, to be come in as a cabinet officer, as a Russian asset, which means you're a spy, which means you're a Putin communist, which means you belong in a penitentiary for the rest of your life for committing crimes against your country. And that's what they're accusing her of. A long time, and none of it's true, of course, but that doesn't matter to this filth that from Hakeem Jeffries to Debbie Was-A-Man Schnitz and to Jim Crow, Jason Crow over here. These people, can I just say, But this is what they do because Trump picked them for the cabinet. So this filth, like the Democrat leader in the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries, not pro-American by any definition. Amazing stuff. Man, I'm riled up about that. You know that nothing delivers comfort and joy. 'Tis the season, like the unrivaled quality and delicious flavor of Omaha steaks. And this year, you can skip the holiday hassle and the hustle bustle and save 50% off of gourmet gifts across the entire Omaha Steaks website at omahasteaks.com. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and gifting the experts at Omaha Steaks have made it incredibly easy to deliver the perfect gift. Perfect gift. You know what time it is, what time of year it is, with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at just $89.99. $89.99. Listen, growing up in Chicago, I always envied my neighbors when they'd get Omaha Steaks delivered to their houses. Now I get them delivered to my house. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, you can save 50% off the entire website at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because you listen to our humble radio broadcast, you get another $30 off with the promo code PLANT, Plante, and a $30 reward gift card when you shop early. Think of how much money you're saving. That's 30 plus 30 plus 50% off. Come on, you can't afford to not go there. That's 50% off at OMAHA, omahasteaks.com, plus $30 off the promo code PLANT. Plus, come on, get out of here. A minimum purchase may apply. Visit omahasteaks.com for details. Yes, sir. Amazing. So this is what the left does in every communist country around the world, and it's what the Democrat Party and the media do here.
The American people aren't stupid. They think that we are and that they can just get away with this, but I think the American people are seeing exactly what they're doing.
So Democrat members of Congress are accusing a former colleague, former Democrat member of the House of Representatives, of being a traitor to her country, a treasonous, traitorous spy for Vladimir Putin, an asset for Putin's Russia. This is what they're calling her. And it's because she's not subservient enough to the Democrat Party, to Hillary, Diane, Rodham, Clinton, and Debbie Was-A-Man, tattooed face Schnitz, who I think is probably a communist, and and I'm half kidding, but they are literally accusing her of committing felonies, of being a felon, of committing crimes that are death penalty eligible, to be an asset for Russia and a threat to our national security. And this is what they're saying with a straight face. And the news media just nods and says, yeah, that's going to be a good soundbite. We're going to get attention for this interview. But this, again, a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves who served in Iraq, a former Democrat House member, they now tag her as a traitor. Now, I'm marveling at these vicious attacks of the filthy, corrupt, rotten Democrat Party, rotten to the core. And the fact that they would attack Tulsi Gabbard and accuse her of treason, which is what they're accusing her of, a death penalty eligible felony, that they say she is a Russian asset, from Hillary Clinton to Debbie Was-A-Man Schnitz to the filthy, corrupt news media. They're accusing her of being death penalty eligible for her crimes. These are the crimes they're accusing her of. And I find that to be quite remarkable, I've got to say. And if I were Tulsi Gabbard, I think that, or Tulsi Gabbard's attorney, if she has attorneys, you're going to go into public life, you need a lot of attorneys and a lot of money to pay them, because the left is here to destroy the world. And they'll start with you. The moment that someone says, hey, how'd you like to be the Secretary of the Department of Interior or the Attorney General? Hey, you served in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. Maybe it'd be fun to have you as the Secretary of Defense. instead of taking you from the Washington machine, from the establishment, we'll get somebody that was actually out there with a rifle with 2 Bronze Stars to go into the Pentagon and, surround himself with some good people that know their way around the defense bureaucracy, but bring in a regular person, and that will not be allowed. The left-wing establishment will destroy anyone that steps up to serve government, right? Public service. Amazing stuff. Doesn't matter who you are. If you cross the left, you can be Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. You got your own space program. And you got, hey, Twitter, I got Twitter over here. Must be destroyed. Just amazing what these people do. All right, let's take a phone call. Let's see. Let's go to let's go to Jeff calling from Milton, Delaware. Jeffrey, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call. I'd go rapid fire real quick. I wouldn't let Joseph Stalin and Nikita Khrushchev from the Morning Joe show get anywhere near a microphone with any of our guys. I mean, it's just, to me, that they'll just use it. They'll just use it against us. They're not looking for an olive leaf. Number 2, yeah, I'm a proud owner of a Lincoln Town Car 2005. I see another one go up in flames like I did, 8 years ago, whatever it was. I ain't gonna be happy with that. It might be go time.
So many things. I drove a Lincoln Townhouse for years myself in 1997. It was a great car. Drove it until it wasn't worth anything. I couldn't even give it away as to charity. No cab driver wanted it. I drove it into the ground, but I loved my Lincoln Townhouse with a 5-Tony trunk. It had a 5-Tony trunk, and the air shocks that when you load the trunk up with 5 Tonys, the air shocks boosted up. It was great. I love that car. But you're right. I don't think they're looking for an olive branch, Jeff. You're talking about Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. For some reason, and I really don't fully understand, President Trump, they called and begged that they wanted to meet with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And President Trump, amazingly, said, okay, come to Mar-a-Lago. And then these hacks, and this is what you're talking about, Joe Stalin and Mika meeting with President Trump. And it looks like they are extending an olive branch. But, Jeff, what you're saying is they're not going to play nice. They're going to stab you in the front the moment the opportunity presents itself, right?
Yes, sir. I wouldn't trust them after what we've seen the last almost decade. I'm not giving them a chance. And I want to end with this one here. I don't want to step on your toes, but what like Debbie Watsamata or whatever her name is.
Uh-huh.
She looks like the ocean monster from Horror at Party Beach, a big B film that got torn up by Mystery Theater.
Mystery Science Theater, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. She got the bags under her eyes.
Michael Piercy's looked it up. He's nodding across from me. He's looking at his computer screen, and he's nodding. He's like, oh, yeah, she definitely looks like. What, horror at what, Party Beach?
Horror at Party Beach.
Horror at Party Beach. I love it. It sounds like a great motion picture classic, too. Yeah, Debbie Wasserman, yeah. She should, I think she's a communist agent for Beijing. Because this is what we say about one another now. I've learned from the masters, from the Democrats. They just say these things, and then they know them to be untrue, but that doesn't matter because lying is perfectly normal for a Debbie Wasserman Schnitz and for Hillary, Diane Rodham Clinton, and they all lie about these things because they're big, fat, fatuous liars, and they smear it. And again, I think I've told you I met only once Tulsi Gabbard at the Newsmax Bureau in Washington, D.C., and couldn't have been nicer, couldn't have been lovelier, just great. And I even liked her when she was a Democrat member of the House because she occasionally said something that was obviously true and undeniable, while the rest of the Democrats were lying about it. But I got listen, Jeff, since you brought it up, I'm going to have to play the audio now of Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, who went and met with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Now, you Jeff, think that Trump should not have met with them, right?
Oh, I didn't. I didn't realize it was past tense, and
yeah.
I just. Well, maybe not. I mean, it's just one of those things. For me, I don't trust any of them. I don't trust them any more than anything else I haven't trusted. But hey, I'd like to get one more dig in real quick, if I could.
Real quick.
Yeah. You know why? The main reason why that Harris failed at her president campaign.
Why did Kamala Harris's presidential campaign fail, Jeff?
Yeah, she just kept running into walls.
Well, that's a Tim Walz reference. That's Tim. He didn't. Tulsi Gabbard actually went to Iraq and was decorated as a U.S. Army officer there. Tim Walz did not. She kept running into walls, while he was flailing his weirdo hands all about. Jeff, thank you for the nice call. Americans are good people. Democrats aren't really Americans anymore, so they're not the kind of people they used to be, as a rule. The headlines are everywhere. Thank you, Jeff. Morning joke, Joe Scarborough. Brzezinski say they traveled to Mar-a-Lago to meet Trump. That's the Hill in Washington, D.C. They traveled to Mar-a-Lago to meet Trump. They do their show in Florida and use a fake Washington backdrop, because even when they're being silent, they're lying to you. And Daily Beast, morning joke hosts, revealed they visited Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And then in quotation marks, they have time for it's a new beginning. They want a date. It's just these people are the most appalling, horrible people. Now, morning joke and Mika, they, of course, and the headline here, they smeared him as a murderer. Wait a minute. Oh, after Trump smeared Joe Scarborough as a murderer because that woman that died mysteriously in his office in Florida, somehow a young woman falling and hitting her head in a fatal blow in Joe Scarborough's office, and nobody knows what happened there. So a morning joke co-host hold face-to-face meeting with Trump for first time in 7 years. Who cares how many years it's been since Trump met with these idiots? Honestly. Why wouldn't we, right, meet with Trump? Mika Brzezinski said. So Joe and Mika, I've got to say, I've got after this ridiculous audio of these egomaniacal idiots, I have a suggestion for the Trump organization.
Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago
to fly private?
Meet personally with President-elect Trump.
They went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump from their Florida establishment. You think that NBC flew him on a Gulfstream just to get across the state? What do you think?
It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation.
Yeah, they talked about abortion,
political retribution against political opponents,
left-wing talking points.
We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
If you've watched us for 10 years, you're dumber than you were 10 years ago. Most of what you know is completely wrong, and your IQ has shrunk. This is a shrinking IQ theater that they've got going there. So I've got to say, the fact that I don't know, I assume President Trump made the decision himself for these corrupt nitwits.
What we did agree on was to restart communications.
Why?
My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed.
The Ayatollah?
That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania.
I don't believe you. I don't even believe that. I don't. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, because Mika was sharpening a stick or something. Pretty amazing stuff. They're just amazing.
In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful. He was upbeat. He seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
Wow, that's so open-minded. You're so open-minded your brain fell out and went splat on the asphalt. That's going to. And she made reference to her father, Zbigniew Brzezinski, who was National Security Advisor to Jimmy Carter when they gave up Iran to the Ayatollahs. Oh, he made phone calls to people he didn't like. He didn't accomplish anything as National Security Advisor to Jimmy Carter. It was the most disastrous 4 years up until we got to the Biden-Harris 4 years, and that was pretty darn bad, too. Just amazing stuff. Now, Mo Yarborough, the egos on these people, and I don't, personally, I think if I were President Trump, and they said they wanted to meet with me, I'd probably laugh and get a cheeseburger.
Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
Cram it, clown.
As somebody close to Donald Trump told me this past weekend, this is a president who's not seeking re-election. So maybe, just maybe, now could be the time for both parties to get to work.
He's not seeking re-election. You people, and get to work. I got an idea. I've got to contain myself here a little bit. I don't want to use unpleasant words. Cram it, clown. I got to go back to the Bozo the Clown story. Cram it, clown. You people are clowns. And here's my response to you. If I were President Trump, I would explain to all of my communications people, to my new press secretary, lovely and talented as she is, that no one in our administration from any department or any agency will appear on any show on MSNBC, period. Nobody from our administration will appear on, from any area, from the Pentagon. You know, they can show up and videotape the briefings at the Pentagon, but I think that I would say nobody, and I might even say NBC News. President Trump has talked about pulling press credentials from these corrupt, fake journalists. And I've got to say, you could start by saying no one will appear, and that would, sound the alarm for CNN and the rest. And maybe they would, get a wake-up call. I doubt it, I guess. The headline from 5 days ago, it's over for Democrats, Comcast to sell MSNBC, Oprah's Oxygen Network. Now, that's the St. Vincent Times in the Caribbean, but I read it in the Washington Post or somewhere last week where Comcast's, megacorp, parent corp, media corp, saying after the presidential election, their ratings dropped like 70% or something hilarious like that. And Comcast, the Shore News Network, Comcast put MSNBC and Oprah-founded Oxygen up for sale in cable TV sell-off. I think that could be the best thing to happen. And then MSNBC could be bought by the communist Chinese, like you remember what was the network called that belonged to Al Gore that he sold to the Arabs, Current TV. And he got hundreds of millions of dollars when he sold his cable channel that nobody watched to the Arabs. And that was fine because, big oil, big schmoil, whatever. Never mind any of that stuff. Remarkable. Probably Russian assets. I'm thinking Russian assets. I think Joe and Mika are Russian assets. They're a Russian asset. They're working for the... think they're Russian assets or Chinese assets. Maybe they're ISIS assets. I don't know. This is what we say. This is how we have discussions now because of the filthy left. Could the fate of America's children be tied to our own fate? Why, most certainly it could. Much like abortionists put an end to the lives of the unborn, the helpless among us every day, the left seems determined to snuff out everything else. But Preborn, a great organization, Preborn, stands as a beacon of light and hope for the most defenseless, the most vulnerable among us. preborn babies. Every day, Preborn's network of clinics helps to rescue, on average, more than 200 unborn babies every day, while surrounding the expectant mothers with love and with God and a free ultrasound. Because witnessing the miracle of life growing inside of oneself never been more crucial as we navigate our way through this period of moral decay and decline. Would you please join Preborn in helping to protect the least among us, the most helpless among us, for just $28? You can sponsor an ultrasound. It's a very nice thing to give. And give an expectant mother a chance to choose life for her baby and for herself. An ultrasound can double a baby's chance at living a long, happy, and prosperous life. To donate securely, all you have to do is dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. Dial pound 250 and the keyword is baby. Or you can go on Al Gore's amazing internet to preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. Thank you in advance. Yes, sir. You're a Democrat Party. The New York Times thought they were correcting Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and then they reproduced exactly what he said, saying it was all true. Because they're not a newspaper. And accusing Tulsi Gabbard of being a Russian secret agent and betraying her country ought to be legally actionable. Talk about misinformation and disinformation. Now, the Democrats will destroy the world and everyone in it, given half a chance to do it. Rudy Giuliani is in the dock. They're trying to confiscate the refrigerator from his house and give it to two women in Georgia that sued him for defamation of character. And CNN is mocking Rudy Giuliani and his legal team and attacking him, Manderson Pooper and the rich boy gang at CNN attacking Rudy Giuliani. His lawyers are literally saying that he's allowed to keep his refrigerator because they're the left. They're communists. They're here to destroy him and the world because he's not singing from the sheet music. So it's more lawfare. The left is here, and they're coming for your rights. They're not on Team America. They're not with us.